old, persistent, international, highly coordinated and planned to bash Islam in a new crusade. But I conclude with the note of hope from the Quran. وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقُّ وَزَهَقَ الْبَاطِلُ إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا. And say truth has prevailed and falsehood has vanished. Indeed, falsehood is bound to vanish sooner or later, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I wish in the very beginning to thank you all for your coming this evening and to thank Brother Shabbir, my dear brothers, and all the tireless workers working for him or supporting him. This kind of seminars should not be simply in reaction to certain events, such as the Nigerian case, which became an international cause in the media and resulted in a flood of letters to the editors, editorials, TV and radio appearances, and all kinds of arguments. And as you know, even right here in Canada, even our own government has sent an official protest to the Nigerian government. It appears that at the core of all of this confusion has been an Islam bashing kind of attitude. But in any case, as the Quran says, وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ, you may hate something in which there may be some good, even though we should not just react. The recent attacks on Islam and Sharia and Muslims in general perhaps might provide for us a motivation to learn more about our deen. The way, inshallah, the topic is presented is divided into 8 areas, all organized along misunderstandings and misconceptions about Islamic Sharia, with the emphasis on criminal law and in particularly the issue of fornication and adultery. I list them first for your information to get a bird's eye view of the topic. First, Sharia means criminal code. I'm talking about misunderstanding, not truth. Sharia means criminal code. 2, Islamic Sharia is old, obsolete, should be either cancelled, modified, or at least modernized to fit recent times. 3, Islamic Sharia is incompatible with modern concepts of human dignity and human rights, international conventions on human rights. Fourthly, if there is any conflict between those universal concepts and declarations and Islamic Sharia, it is Islamic Sharia that should be changed to conform to those standards. Fifthly, Islamic criminal law does not leave any room for forgiveness or rehabilitation. It is simply laws for vengeance. 6, and you must have heard that a lot, Islamic Sharia punishments are barbaric, severe, brutal, whatever other terms that fall in the same line. And I'll end with 2 observations, brief ones, that's 7 and 8. One is application of the rules, inshallah we hope to get familiar with, on the Nigerian case. Secondly, or at the very end, the attitude of the media and politicians in the West. Let me take the first question. First, misconception. A lot of people, you must have heard, Sharia, it means criminal punishments. Even some Muslims themselves say this country is going to apply Sharia. Oh yeah, the cutting of hands and chopping of necks and all of that. So it has to be one and the same. I'd like to say in that respect two basic points. First of all, the term Sharia, if you take it from the purely linguistic point of view, it actually means a way. As an Islamic term, a specific technical Islamic term, it means what Allah has established as a way of life. So it is the way of life that Allah has chosen and prescribed for His servants, those who believe in Him and accept His guidance. Secondly, with this kind of definition, it becomes quite obvious that by definition, Sharia reflects the nature of Islam, not only as mere religion in the narrow sense, but as a complete way of living that includes all aspects. So there is Sharia in how to pray, there is Sharia in how to pay your zakah, there is Sharia in how do you make your fasting, as much as there is Sharia in organizing social, economic, or political activities and behave in the battlefield. And part of that as well, of course, is the criminal code. The bottom line then, in the first point, to conclude, that Sharia is not the criminal code, but criminal code is one aspect of the broad Islamic Sharia. Second misconception: Islamic Sharia is obsolete, old, you have to cancel, modify, or modernize to suit the times. This kind of statement should raise a couple of questions. First, is it by definition that anything that is old must be bad and obsolete? For example, this might be true when you talk about an old, worn-out garment versus a new one. But is everything old necessarily bad and obsolete? How about water? Water is very old. Adam used to drink it. Is it obsolete? Should we stop drinking water because it is old? Secondly, is it by definition that anything new is of necessity better, superior, more modern? Look at what's happening in our modern society. Air pollution, water pollution with toxic chemicals, pollution of the earth itself, the soil, depletion of the ozone layer, crimes in the street, brutality, wars. These are all modern things, aren't they? Are they to be superior by definition because they are modern or new? So the basic point basically is that when we evaluate something, we don't evaluate necessarily by time dimension, or by place. Things has to be evaluated on their own merits as to their validity or lack of it. Another question. The claim that things that are permanent in Sharia, and I'm not talking about ijtihads and details, the basics, need modernization to conform to the so-called modern world, in fact reflects a very grave misunderstanding of even the definition of Sharia, its source and its nature. Just to clarify, as we indicated earlier, Sharia means what Allah has made for the benefit of mankind. And you compare that with the laws made by human beings. Human beings, when they make laws, regardless of their knowledge, intelligence, education, experience, you name it, cannot help but admit that their knowledge is limited, so is their wisdom. Not only this, I don't think any sane person could deny that when human beings sit down to make laws, they could be influenced by some factors that make them biased, whether it's towards gender or towards one group or the other. For example, overemphasis on the right of the criminal for due process, which should be there, but overemphasis to the point of forgetting about the rights of the victims. So there's lack of balance, there is bias, there is lack of wisdom, and that's why laws keep changing. And as we have defined that from a Muslim